for joining us today on Envision. I'm Deanne Conrad, Community Relations Supervisor, here with our Superintendent, Dr. Maher, and it's one of our favorite topics to talk about.
It's one of your favorite topics to talk about.
I just like to see you squirm occasionally.
Yeah.
We're talking about winter weather, and that is certainly a topic that makes us squirm from time to time, just because, so unpredictable and really creates a lot of chaos when it happens during a school day. And so what's the process for really making decisions about when to have school and when not to have school?
We start always looking at the long-term view. What's it going to look like? The next 5 days, what do those 5 days look like? So that you can really begin to narrow your focus as fronts move in and move out and so forth. So that's part of the process. When we actually get an event, then we're really relying on data, the same data that virtually everybody is. And what is that?
Not the Farmer's Almanac?
Not the Farmer's Almanac. Although I do review that. And what I look at there really is good help from the National Weather Service. Todd Heitkamp and his folks do a marvelous job. And I know we can all get a little flippant about the weather people, but I'm telling you, the closer we get to the event, the more I rely on those folks. And they have been great, a great entity and a great group of individuals for us to rely on. So I really put a lot of stock in what the National Weather Service has to say. We also trust our own judgment. We drive around. We have a team of 4 of us. It's a pretty small team that actually drive around and are responsible for different parts of the school district and say, is it safe to be out or isn't it? And in the moment, it's really a pretty easy decision. The difficulty comes when you're trying to make a decision the night before for the next morning, or at 4 o'clock in the morning for noon. And what's going to happen? We talk to the city officials to talk about their progress on opening up roads. We talk about how much the volume of snow certainly matters, and we talk about the wind and the temperature. And when you combine, also, is there already snow on the ground? 4 inches of snow generally isn't a lot for us, but if it's on top of a foot of snow that's already there with great winds, it can be really problematic. So it depends, how much snow do we already have? What are the conditions already like? What does the wind do? What's the volume of snow, et cetera, et cetera.
So all of
I get
those
people
things.
that ask me from time to time if we're expecting, a foot of snow. Oh, I bet you won't sleep. Oh, I'll sleep like a baby. The more, the better. That's an easy call.
Decisions.
It's the 4 to 8 inches wind, no wind. Those are the really tough calls.
And realizing, with 24,000 students and then 3,500 to 4,000 employees, that's a lot of movement in a city as well. And if you're a parent who is planning to go to work and you have a first grader who all of a sudden is, school gets called off, making arrangements. I mean, there's so much to consider, but it really does all come down to student safety. And if we can have school safely, we will. And if we can't, we won't. And that really comes down, that's what bottom line is.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We make the call, and it's my call, even though I have other folks involved. I tell people I get the credit or the blame, and I haven't got any credit yet. So, but I do get the blame. But I understand the emotion that's behind that, and the desire to have your own children be safe. I share that same desire, but I don't want any parent to ever give me the authority for the safety of their children. If you can't safely get your child to school, then by all means keep them home, without a doubt. And I don't mean that to be a cop-out on our part, because I still want to make the best decision we can make for every student in our district. So somebody asked me one time, well, so if it's okay for 99% of our kids, do you have school? And I never put a number on it like that, because if I think 1% of our kids wouldn't be safe, I wouldn't have school. It's a really, really tough call. So can you make it to school safely with a little more time and a little more
planning and just
planning, can you get there
patience.
safely, then we'll have school. If the answer is no, then we won't do that. Early in my superintendent's career, I really tried to put myself in the role of a parent saying, I've got my own kids, is it okay for
Yeah.
them to go to school today?
Sure.
Now I'm almost to the point where my grandkids are in school, so I really try to think of them,
Yeah.
and is it okay for them to go to school today? And that's also part of what drives the decision, is that human emotion that goes with that whole safety concern.
And realizing when a decision is made, sometimes weather systems move more quickly or more slowly, and so you look outside and you don't have school and the sun is shining and you think, oh, why didn't we have school today? Just understand that we
Yeah.
work really hard to do our best, but
I'll
things
tell you,
like
I'd,
that.
I'd rather miss that way.
Right.
I would rather look outside, and it still wouldn't feel great, but I'd rather look out the window and say, we could have had school today,
Sure.
versus looking out the window and saying,
What are we going to do?
we should
with-
not have had school today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not infallible. I've missed on that decision before. I hope I never do again,
Yeah.
but I've missed on that decision before.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is just as sporadic as our weather systems are, we'll do what we can to figure it out and make sure that all students are safe, but things happen. Systems move fast or
Right.
more slowly than we expect. So we just ask for your patience and grace maybe in those decisions as we make them. And we'll continue to keep you informed through our Parent Link system, our phone calling system, the website, and all other channels of communication to keep you posted on this winter weather season. Thanks for joining us.